Okay, today we're going to build new shafts for these clubs. These are brand new Callaway Mavics that I brought from my wife, but she decided she does not want to play golf. So I'm going to switch out the shafts. These are ladies' shafts. I'm going to switch out the shaft into regular flex shafts. First we're going to pull the heads, and then we'll build new shafts for it. I bought a set of new shafts for these that we'll have to uh, prepare, measure, cut, and then install in these heads. So here we go. Well, this is the club shaft puller machine. I'm going to use this to pull the heads from the shaft. The reason I want to use this machine is because these are graphite shafts and you don't want to heat it up and twist it. For our iron shafts, you can just heat up the head and twist it and remove it. But for graphite shafts, that could potentially damage it. And these are really good shafts, and I want to save it just in case my wife wants to play later and I can reinstall it back into the heads. But for now, we're going to use this machine to pull it. And we're going to do that by heating up the head to loosen the epoxy, and then we're going to turn the machine. That should push the head right off the shaft pretty easily. Okay. And the head sometimes gets hot, that's why I put the oven mitt there. And that's it. And it's as easy as that. And so we're going to remove this, and I'll remove the shaft. And as you can see, the shaft has a little epoxy left in it, but we can just sand that off and it will be a perfectly good shaft again. So this is the pitching wedge shaft, so I'll label pitching wedge on it so that I'll know which shaft it is in the future if I want to reinstall it. And then we're going to do that for the rest of the shafts. Well, here are the club heads removed. Now I have to prepare the new shafts and install them. Here are the old shafts that I removed from the heads. It goes from a 3 hybrid all the way to a sand wedge. The tips are all cleaned up, sanded, and ready to be installed again when needed. All right, now we just need to remove the old epoxy that's still stuck on there. So we'll do that by heating up the club, getting the epoxy soft. And then we can use something to pry out the epoxy if we can. Okay. Then we'll just go in there with. There we go. Yep, it's clean. Just get rid of all the old epoxy. Yep, there it is. The hosel is free of epoxy now. We're going to clean it up with acetone in a little bit to clean out the rest of it. So we're going to do that for the rest of the club heads. Okay, these are the new shafts that I bought. I've labeled each one what they are, and also at the tip I've marked how much to cut the tip off based on the shaft, the club length. So the wedges, you got to cut more off at the tip for these These are IR37 spec, which means the wedges you need to cut 3.5 inches from the tip, and then it's 1/2 inch after that for each iron. So 9, 8, 7, and 6. I only have from 6, 7, 8, 9 pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge. So only 70 clubs now. I've ordered 3 for the hybrids. They haven't come in yet, but these are the Mitsubishi Kuro Cage Black Gen 2s, regular flex. So I ordered the hybrid shafts in the same because I have the same driver shaft model as well. So wait for those to come in, but now I'm going to go ahead and cut off the tips here. Okay, it's time to cut the shaft. I've marked it right here. I'm going to use a pipe cutter to cut it. A lot of people don't like to use pipe cutters to cut graphite, but I've had good success with it. Hacksaws tend to split the graphite towards the end, so pipe cutters has been always good for me. So, see? So this is my 7-iron. I've marked it there. What I like to do is get a line first, make sure it's right, remove the tape, and then tighten this shaft a bit more. Okay, there we go. So, in the middle, I'll just finish it off with, there we go. So, let's say clean cut. This is what it looks like. Right. Let's see if it focuses. There, okay. And now, we use a microfile just to file off the just to file off the ends of the clips here. Here's my round file. I have a round file in here somewhere. Here's a round file. Just to file that hole. Okay. Yep. There we go. So that's the cut right there. We're gonna sand off a little bit of it, the paint and the tip here later when we put on the club for adhesion with the epoxy. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same for the rest of the clubs. All right, so now we're going to prep the tip of the shaft to be installed with the club head. So what we're gonna do first is, this is the swing weight for the 6-iron. So I'm just gonna install that in there. That helps, gives it the correct swing weight. This is the head. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick the head in. That tells us how far we need to sand the tip. Right? So basically, we need to sand the tip until it gets there. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're going to 150 grit sandpaper. What we want to do here is remove the paint and rough up the surface so that the epoxy will stick. You don't have to sand too much, just remove a thin layer of paint and make sure the surface is roughed up. Real quick, you don't want to take too much off. Right? So I'm gonna go around and sand it all. Make sure there's no shiny paint left. There's some paint over here. All right, that's pretty good. Take a microfiber towel. A microfiber grabs all the dust and everything and holds it there. So now that's roughed up and ready to go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna test fit it one more time. Looks good. Okay, so our sanding stops there. So what we're gonna do now is install the furrow. These are some cheap Chinese knockoff furrows that are really tight for some reason. So we're gonna start there. I'm just gonna bang it. I'm just gonna get it down. Okay. And what we're gonna do here is we're going to use the shaft puller in reverse to push the furrow in. Okay, so at first we're gonna just get it started. We're just gonna get it started. Make sure it's right. Ah, wrong way. I'm just going to get it started. Okay, that's good. See, we're using the, okay, now I think we have to adjust it so that it goes in between the shaft. Right there. Go. Now if I turn it, push the furrow in. Alright. Basically I'm doing the shaft pull in reverse. So I need to extend it some more. Because I need to make sure the shaft, the furrow is pulled past the point where we sanded it. Okay. So now we just continue. The furrow is really tight for some reason. Check to see if that's good yet. Oh yeah, that's past it. So as you can see, we've gone past the part where we sand. So when you put the head in, it doesn't meet the furrow. But then to remedy that, we're actually going to use the shaft puller in the right direction again. So we're going to put that there, and then we just there we go. So now, the furrow should be perfect distance with the shaft, with the head. All right, so that's the 6. This is the 6. Now I'm going to repeat that process for all the other shafts, and then we'll go to epoxy the heads on. All right, it's time to epoxy the club heads to the shaft. I'm using Profix Long Cure Epoxy. It's a 2-part epoxy, 24-hour cure, I believe. So it's supposed to make this 1-to-1. So Let's see if I can mix enough for 1, 2, 3, 4 shafts. Let's see. This thing's thick. It says 1 to 1, but it's kind of hard to guesstimate that it's the same. I guess you can weigh it. I think that's probably 1 to 1. Supposed to mix it up really good. All right, I think that's mixed. All right, we'll start with the club head. So this is the A wedge, and let me get my A wedge shaft ready. Okay, before that, I'm gonna get some tape ready as well. Get it prepared. So before you put the swing weights in, that's just to measure the distance that the head goes in. But we're going to put it in the club head and then push it in, otherwise it'll block the air and you can't put it in. So put some epoxy in there, get it all good. Okay. Get it all in there. I think that should be enough. Okay. Now I put this in. Push that down there. Put that in there. Okay. Okay. Put that to the side. And then we'll take the club head, the shaft. Not the club head, the shaft. And we'll epoxy it. Make sure it's covered in epoxy. Okay. There we go. Here's the messy part. Make sure it's the right shaft. It's the A shaft, A head, okay? Then you just I think that little weight is much to the side. Gotta get it in the center. Okay, get that in the center. Still not in the center. Oh, come on. That little weight thing. Okay. Straight dead center right there. There we go. That little weight just had to go into the hole of the shaft. Okay. So now you gotta twist it round and round to make sure that the epoxy is coated. Okay. So the next thing we do is we take alcohol and then we wipe it. wipe off the excess. There we go. That should be nice and clean. And then we center the shaft with the label on the back. Make sure that it's straight label on the back. Let's look at it this way, not labels necessary. Okay. There we go. Now that the label's in the back. Once the label is centered how you want, tape it so that the shaft doesn't move. And then check it one more time. Label's in the back. And then let it rest for 24 hours. Okay? And then we repeat for the other shafts and club heads. Alright, now that the epoxy has dried on the club heads and the shaft, we're going to cut the club down to the correct length. So I've measured the correct length for each of the clubs and I've marked it on the end of the shaft here. And again, we're going to use the pipe cutter to cut it. So, it's pretty simple. It actually should be a lot easier than the tips because it's not that much material at the club end, or it's thinner. And that's it. So the very end, what I like to do is just there we go. Now there are rough edges here that you're going to file off using a micro file. So I use these scissors to cut these strips at the end off. And then we just file it just to clean it up. Sandpaper, smooth out the edges. There you go. Should be good. Yep, there you go. Now that's ready for grip installation. Okay, now it's time to install the grip. There's actually two ways to install the grip. The very fast and easy way and the complicated and messy way. The fast and easy way is to use an air compressor, blow the grip on, and it takes about 1.5 minutes. The messy way is to use solvent and tape, which is what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna use solvent and tape. It's the middle of the night, so I don't want to run the air compressor and wake everybody up. So now we're going to use solvent and tape and just let it dry. Okay. So first, we cut a strip of tape, double-sided grip tape to size. Install the grip tape on. Leave a little bit overhang at the end. You don't need a lot, just about half an inch overhang should be good, or a quarter inch should be good. Okay, so there you go. Apply the tape. Let's see if I can peel this tape back. Peeling the double-sided tape is the hardest part. Come on now. Let's see if I can get it from this end. There we go. Once you get the tip to start, it's real easy. There we go. All right. Throw that to the side. Okay. And we just close out. Some people twist the end and stuff it in. Some people just stuff it in. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So next, you take your grip. You take a T. You stick it in the bottom hole of the grip to plug up that hole. And then you take your solvent. And you pour it inside the grip. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just shake it up. Get it all wet in there. Take a cup or anything to catch the solvent and just pour the solvent over the grip. There we go. The idea is just to get the tape really wet. The wetter the tape is, the easier it is. Okay? Now that it's wet, all you do is just push the grip on. Oh, remove the T first so that the air can escape, and it makes it a lot easier. So put the grip on and then just push it on. It's as easy as that. You don't need any force or anything, just gently push it on and it comes right out. Okay, make sure it's all the way in and seat it. Okay, just take a towel, wipe off the excess solvent. Okay, wipe the solvent from the grip. Now just align the label with the club. Make sure that the label is straight up and down. I'm OCD, so the label is a little bit off. It drives me nuts. So there it is. I installed the club head vertical so that I can align the label. So it's all aligned, and that's it. You're done. The next thing to do is the solvent that was in here. Don't throw it away. It doesn't go bad or anything. So I just pour it back. And I'll have enough. I think this bottle is gonna last me a lifetime. I'll never use it all. Okay. And then so remove. And that's pretty much it. Now you have a whole completed golf club. Now just let it dry, and the solvent should dry in a few hours, but I usually like to leave it 24 hours just to be safe. And once it's dry, I like to take some soapy water, clean off the grip to remove any solvent residue because it becomes slippery sometimes, and then you're good to go. That's it. From removing the club head to cleaning out the inside of the hosel to installing a new shaft to cutting it down to length to installing a grip and letting it dry, and it's ready to play.